ఇవి యూట్యూబ్లోకి అప్లోడ్ చేసినవి ఇవే కదా ఉంది. అప్పుడు స్టోరేజ్ ప్రాబ్లం.
Yeah. It basically communicates between two different software languages and exchange the data over the internet. So it basically works define and works based on some set of rules on the communication. Okay, it will have the data, the request. One system should request some data, and it should be returned some data, and maybe it may have some parameters which are required to request the data. So and there will be more things. Let us see more deeper. So there are different parts of parts in the web service. First thing, as we said, we have a web service where we define a set of rules, and we'll provide some API definition language. Okay, and the second one is implementing the interface itself, the API. So here we implement our API based on this set of rules. The first part, we actually define the API definition and how the API should work and how API should be called and how what API requires and what parameters required and what it actually expecting and what it's going to give us. So everything will be defined in this API definition language. And the second part, we implement the same over there. And the third part is actual code and application itself. And there are three parts. So we have mainly two kinds of web services: the SOAP web service and a RESTful web service. So anyone knows about these? Anyone? No? Okay. So SOAP web service is a traditional and more complex. It's completely based on XML. So they have a standard called WSDL, a web service description language, where we define our digital file, and it will have some operations. Based on these operations, it actually generates, it actually works on this definition language. Definition language. So this is actually a complex one, and it's not, and of course it's secure, but it's a bit complex. So, but RESTful web service is like it's very simpler and lightweight. So this can be communicated through HTTP, of course. SOAP also can be communicated on HTTP. But this guy is lightweight and more simpler. Okay, and it's very much readable. So let us see more about RESTful web service. Of course, we are going to talk about SOAP web service as well, but now mainly into RESTful web service. We'll also see what SOAP web services are. So RESTful web services. So REST stands for representational state transfer protocol. So it has some architecture where clients and servers, representation. I mean, it exchanges through some HTTP standard protocol. We're using HTTP standard protocol. It actually completely works on the resources and also the methods. Okay, just remember this word resources. We'll talk about it in the next slide. So it actually works on the resources and the HTTP method. HTTP methods like put, post, get, delete. So of course we have more HTTP methods, but the majorly used one are get, post, put, delete. And the resource is itself, it will relay in the URL, of the web service. That will be look something like this. You see here the resources are companies. Companies is the resource, and country is a query is a parameter, something like that. 3 is also parameter in the third one, component 3. And this one, actually, it's not it's just explained with JSON or XML. So post will have a body, and delete will have like a resource, and put will also have some body. So basically, here the get will do, try to retrieve some information, and post will try to create something new, and delete actually try to delete something. I mean, we use these operations for these kind of jobs. So you can also write something delete using post. It doesn't. I mean, I won't say like it will not allow, but it can also use post to delete something. But the standards, I'm talking about the standards. So get is actually used for retrieving something. The post actually used for creating. I mean, it's a crude operations. Create, delete, update, and retrieve. Okay. And put we also use to create update something. If it doesn't exist, it will create a new one. And patch is also a HTTP method. Here it actually, if you wanted to do something partially update, you can use this patch. Most of the times everyone uses put, of course, but also you can use patch. And also we have some options. There are a lot of options, a lot of headers are already available, but mostly these are mostly used in the market. So, JSON. Any web service, I mean, RESTful web service, most of the RESTful web services works on JSON, but also it can also support XML and plain text, and even CSV, even any kind of data it can actually take in. But these mobile apps, whatever we are using in the market, if you have a smartphone, each and every app, it completely works on RESTful web service. Without this RESTful web service using JSON, your mobile app never work. I mean, we would have been into a different world. So because of these, we are actually using everything in your hand. Everything is in your hand. You can access your banks, you can access your Facebook, you can access your WhatsApp. Everything actually works on these web services. You are actually using thousands of, maybe more, we're making web service calls without your knowledge every day. So every click on your Facebook, every like on your Facebook is a web service call. So every chat on your WhatsApp is a web service call. Yes. So basically, service JSON is like a human readable, and it will have some collections and also maps. Collections is nothing but it's a collection of objects. If you talk about Java, normally we have a collection of objects. You have objects, and if you have multiple things into a collection, it's called like an array. Okay. And maps is something like key value pairs. So we can have a key and value. It's called a map. That's correct. So JSON support both collections and maps. So let us learn about. I mean, till here, any questions, please? Okay. Let us learn about API documentation, API portal, and also how to discover APIs. Before that, let me show you what is an API. Why I'm talking about all this API documentation portal. Let us take I'll take to general world. We have something called programmable web. There is a website. It's actually, since it's a bit old slide, we have it's telling like 19,000 APIs are available, but it must be more than that. Let me show you that. Actually, you have a file called snippets in your student files. They have the link for this, what I'm going to show now. So, so this is a website where we have our dictionary, API dictionary. You can see all APIs listed in the world, whatever is there. Here, almost 24,000 APIs are listed over here. Okay. You can take any of the API. For example, if you wanted to have a Facebook API or YouTube API, you can even just we'll go to the Twitter API. So you have the API documentation available. Maybe you can click on some deactivated. This is the API link. You can go to the documentation. This is the API documentation. So normally it's mentioning like API endpoint and the category and then all the information, and it actually works on OAuth 2 security. So we can see more deeper into the actual API documentation of Twitter's documentation. You can find. So Twitter's official website, you can go and see. For let us say tweet search is also an API. Just click on it. So this is an API reference, API documentation. So this is a get method, and it has the resources, tweet search recent, and other resource also, tweet search all. I mean, you'll be understanding what all these. So there is no HTTP. I mean, you need to add the HTTP endpoint before this, and you can use this. You can make a call. For this, it's a get method, and this is a URL, and you might need to send some of the parameters that also needs to be listed here. Click on this, you can see there's a query parameters. You can also send the end time expansions. So these are the parameters which are optional, and also some will be mandatory. They have provided some curl cover. Curl is something, a tool which you can run from the command prompt to call web service. If you call this, you may get the response something like this. It's a response. And in the response, you may also get a feed something like this. So everything, I mean, your documentation will represent that this API needs to be called using this endpoint, and it actually requires, this is the actual endpoint, this is the resource, and this is the endpoint with, including the resource, and it requires the query parameters, something like this. These parameters can be sent to it, and this is the example with default values, which default values, and if you see the operation header, this is a header. It's a mandatory for this. It actually works on OAuth 2, and the response would be something like this. Okay.
అని చెప్తే